Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the INFOWARS Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen. It is Thursday, September 3rd, 2015. And here's a quick look at what's coming up.
Tonight.
Problemática que nos aqueja desde el año pasado y que hasta la fecha no hay nada en concreto.
The vaccine reaction they don't want you to see. And are you tired of the same jerks in office? Well, vote for term limits. That's next on the INFOWARS Nightly News.
I don't care if you got a handlebar mustache. I don't care. But the fact that you have it, you think you've now like attained godhood, that you're so ignorant, you don't know what July 4th is, but you're running around celebrating, we're the Democrats, we're winning, Donald Trump's in trouble, while the global stock market's melting down, while they put cancer viruses in the vaccines and prepare forced inoculations and feed us GMOs that sterilize every mammal species that's fed them within 3 generations. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. Take advantage of this at InfoWarsLife.com.
You know, in 1947, Congress limited the president to only 2 terms, 8 years. That's because they said too much power for too long is a threat to our freedom. I happen to agree with them 100%, but, well, don't you think the same thing should hold true for Congress and the Senate? I mean, these guys have unlimited terms right now. And some of these guys have been in there for a very, very long time. Just look at these dinosaurs. Senator Patrick Leahy from Vermont, he's been in office for 40 years. Wow. Barbara Mikulski, she's been there for 38 years. Chuck Schumer, 34 years in office. Chuck Grassley, 34 years. Hatch has been there for 38 years. Mitch McConnell, 30 years in Kentucky. Harry Reid, one of the most corrupt senators of all time, he's been there for 32 years. Skip a couple of these guys, go to John McCain, another very corrupt politician, every bit as corrupt as Harry Reid. He's been there in Arizona for 32 years. Richard Durbin, 32 years. And Senator Pat Roberts of Kansas, 79 years old, 34 years in office. No person should hold power over a nation this long. And right now, there are 227 career politicians in Congress with, by the way, an average approval rating of anywhere from a dismal 9% to 16% approval rating of Congress. Can you believe that? Yet somehow, magically, they keep getting reelected again and again. And that's because they are bought and paid for. They are controlled by the big corporations that put them into power to begin with. And these same corporations are keeping them in power. And how's this for a conflict of interest? 87 members of Congress are being lobbied by members of their own family. I mean, it's basically turned into the modern-day mafia. They don't represent you. They represent their corporate controllers and the military-industrial complex. For example, the Air Force is developing the next stealth bomber, and the top defense contractors, Boeing, Northrop, Lockheed Martin, they are competing for a $55 billion contract, and 29 members of Congress own stock in those companies. That's how the game is played, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, I want to give you a typical example of how Congress works. And this is one of many, many examples I could give you, but here's just a stereotypical example of Congress, all right? 93% of Americans, the overwhelming majority, they want the country of origin labels put on our meat products. That's all meat sold in the United States. Makes sense to everyone, right? Of course, we want to know where our meat came from. You know, we want to know if it was shipped in from China, if it was shipped in from Mexico. We have a right as consumers to know the country of origin. But the foreign countries that sell us their meat products, they don't want us to have labels on our meat. So the U.S. House of Representatives voted 300 to 131 to take the labels off our meat. And that's because Congress doesn't care about you. They no longer represent the will of the American people. I think most of us know that by now, but well, what the hell are we going to do about it, right? Well, what if I were to tell you that there is something that we can all do about it? And it might even be a lot easier than you think, because come to find out, the American people in the states, we have the authority to supersede Congress. We're going to tell you all about it. And like I said, it might be easier than you think. And we have Victoria Steele on the line with us right now. She is the Assistant National Director for Term Limits for U.S. Congress. I like the sound of that. Victoria, let me get this straight. We can add a term limits amendment to the Constitution, am I right? And there's nothing Congress could do about it?
That is absolutely correct, and that's exactly what we're working towards.
That is awesome, and I think a lot of folks are going to think it sounds too good to be true. Why don't you tell us how it's possible? I know a lot of people are going to say that Congress will never stand for something like this. They always pretend that they're going to, that it even campaign saying that they're going to go for term limits, but it never happens. How is it going to become possible this time?
Well, our founding fathers were geniuses. They left us an escape hatch in Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution, which details how the Constitution itself can be amended. There are actually two ways that the Constitution can be amended. The first one, everybody knows, goes through Congress, 2/3 of the House, 2/3 of the Senate, ratified by the state. The second option, and this is what we're doing, is starting with the state. 2/3 of the states can call for a convention to amend the Constitution for the same subject. Now, this is where the catch is. It has to be for the same subject. Once those 2/3 states, which in our case nowadays is 34 states, make that call, then all 50 states send one representative each, a delegate, to meet together to come up with proposed amendments. Now, those amendments still have to be ratified by 3/4 of the states, which is 38 states. Congress gets no say in this. That's the beauty of it. We can limit them, and they can do nothing about it.
Well, and you're obviously doing something right, because already they're starting to panic over this, because I noticed the lobbyists and the big corporations, they're totally opposed to this. And they're coming out of the woodwork saying, no, that this is not a good idea. So that's a good start. That means we're doing something right. But also, you know, I think this is revolutionary right now, because right now we have social media. We've got Facebook, we've got Twitter, and we can get the word out. And by the way, your webpage is fantastic, and I know that I would like them to pull that up right now. I invite everybody to go to the webpage where they could sign the petition. And also, your Facebook page is very informative as well, and I think that's reaching a lot of people. Do you think that the time is now where we're actually at an advantage because of social media and networking?
Oh, absolutely. We actually started on Facebook, and once we got a solid base on Facebook, I think we were at about 50,000 followers, is when we branched out and we're like, okay, we need to reach more people. So we built our website. We set up on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Pinterest. We're working on a Tumblr account right now. We are hitting every social media, and I'm also working on Google Plus, trying to build up Google Plus as well. You know, social media is the backbone of what we're using to reach people, because national media they're ignoring us right now. They don't want to touch us.
Well, I was going to say, first they ignore you, but pretty much you watch. It's not going to be too much longer where they're going to come out against this as well. So first there's the lobbyists, the big corporations. Next, naturally, is the mainstream news media who's going to oppose this as well. How else can we get involved? And I know signing the petition is a big step, but what else could we do to get involved in this?
What we need right now, we need people out in the community with the hard copy of our petition. Our electronic petition is fantastic. It has helped us reach people we wouldn't have otherwise been able to reach. But those hard copy signatures, pen on paper, actually carry more weight with state legislatures than the electronic petition. We need people in all 50 states carrying our petition and going to people that they know. If we could get, we have 136,000 followers on our Facebook page. If we could get just everybody on our page to fill out one page of our petition, which is 15 signatures, that would put us so much closer to our goal. You know, the more that we can get, the faster this is going to happen.
Well, and it only takes, I was just going to say, it only takes a couple minutes of everybody's time. And I know a lot of people are thinking to themselves, probably not our audience for the most part, but there are folks out there that are going to say, look, this is what the whole election process is about. If you don't like the candidates, or if you don't like the incumbents, if you don't like these guys in office, vote them out. Why is that not, why is that not a good idea?
Let me point something out as far as voting goes. And this is, you know, what most people don't seem to grasp. There are 535 members of Congress. You, me, my next door neighbor, everybody gets to vote on exactly 3 of those members in Congress. You get to vote on your 2 senators and your 1 representative for your district. You know, Congress has right now, as of today, I believe, and I didn't double check my figures, but 14% approval rating.
Well, no, and it does average, and I said before you came on, they average anywhere from a dismal 9% to a whopping 16%. And that's because we know that they're owned and controlled by the big corporations that put them in there to begin with, the military-industrial complex. They're also making money while they're in there. I was shocked to find out, I can't say I was shocked, but I'm not really surprised, but the average net worth of a U.S. senator goes up $1,600,000 annually. So every year they profit as well. So it's almost like they're getting commission, because the big corporations are, no doubt, they're profiting. The military-industrial complex, they're profiting. And then their guys that they put into place, these congressmen and these senators, they're getting commission off of these deals as well.
Well, absolutely. And that's a figure that we've actually put out there time and again. You know, another figure that, you know, plays heavily into, you know, there's a 96% reelection rate for incumbents in Congress. 96% with a 14% approval rating. That's a big disconnect. Now, the reason why is you have lobbyists are pouring $3.2 billion a year into congressional campaign funds into their pockets. So when you get to election time, the incumbent has all of this media coverage. They have all this money to spend, and a challenger coming in has very little money. There's a huge imbalance in the amount of coverage. The average American voter, those people who do go out and vote, which is dismally small numbers at this point, 80% admit to voting either based on recognizing the name on the ballot, their party line, you know, they're either strict Democrat, strict Republican, or based on the commercials they see on TV, or, you know, the signs on the corner. And whoever has the most money can put out the most signs and the most commercials.
No, you're absolutely right. And I also noticed you had a figure on there on your Facebook page comparing to how much Boehner, for example, how much he spent on his elections